Do you want to hear a story from an actual subscriber of our channel? And so, it happens, doesn't it? Well, at least I think it does. There was a funny and cool story from an anime wolf girl 0111 subscriber, and recently too, remember? About the fart that saved her from the ogre. At that time, she allowed her name to be included, but today's subscriber was a little too shy, so I'll just call him subscriber. Alright, listen up. Hello. This story will not be told from the purpose of teaching pickup mastery or any other BS, but purely for entertainment purposes, alright? We all fall in love, but we don't always understand why or for what. It just kinda happens. This is especially true for guys, and yeah, we also get it, and it hasn't escaped me. For a long time I was looking for the right one, but I didn't take any serious action, like walking up to a girl in the street and taking her someplace to eat or something. This is not something that I do easily. At the time, I was moonlighting as a photographer and was interested in drawing, but I couldn't draw myself. How do people ever learn it by themselves? Was it like sheer luck? I bumped into an old acquaintance who I started talking to, and then I told her what I wanted to do, but I wasn't good at it. She immediately suggested that I start going to art school with her and learn the greatness of the art. Of course, I agreed. Quickly got in touch with the main teacher, and 2 days later, came to his area. But when I arrived to the place, she was not there yet, and she asked to wait. To let you know, this place was very close to a mountainous area, and having decided not to lose time, I started taking pictures of everything that was around. I didn't have my camera with me, so I captured everything on my phone. While I was doing my thing, a girl came up behind me and walked towards a trash can right next to me. I was busy and didn't care what position I was standing in next to what. She was pretty though. There was an interesting scar on her eyebrow that gave it away immediately. The girl threw a cup of coffee she had just drunk to the trash, and I turned around at that moment. Our gazes met, but she was looking at me strangely. Without saying anything, she walked on, and I just looked at her. I did a few more refrains just as the teacher came in and took me to school. In the room itself, I saw the girl again, and turned out she was also walking here. Or maybe spying on me, I don't know. And I also noticed that she had green eyes. Her right hand was constantly making some kind of gesture, and she had an adorable, nice face. Went to these classes for a couple of weeks, I actually really loved it. Guys are creative, everybody's pretty good at the subject, but I began to notice that this girl gives me an unusual amount of attention for a girl. And after lessons offered me to go for a walk, and I said, yeah, sure. Her name was Olivia. A month went by and I asked her out and prepared myself rigidly. I washed and scented and polished my shoes and chose the most beautiful place in the neighborhood for such a nice walk. A waterfall. Yeah. We had a waterfall. It was very beautiful. Olivia actually lived only 100 meters away from me, and having chosen the evening, I dragged her there. Everything went fine. It was a very beautiful starry sky, and she said, yeah. I was over the moon. Butterflies were in my stomach and probably hers too. We sealed the whole thing with a passionate kiss. Yeah, of course we did. Everything was going well at first, I thought, but as long as time went on, I realized something was wrong. We spent time together once a week, which made me very sad. I tried every way to make it possible, but I always said, sorry, I'm trying. I just have so much to do. BS, I thought. It would probably blow over in time, but it didn't. A month went by, and one day in winter, we took a long walk and got cold. And after much deliberation, I called her up for coffee at my house. I was very afraid that she would think that I wanted to take her to bed or something, even though I live with my parents. And the phrase, let's have tea at my place, is usually used for that. Well, according to movies, at least. I was amazed when she agreed, and my butterflies started kicking in again. It was great, beautiful again. And after some tea, we laid down on my bed, turned on a movie and cuddled up. We saw the movie. I'd forgotten that I was worried about her being busy all the time and thought everything would be fine now. But it wasn't. There were no more hangouts, and when I suggested hanging out somewhere in the center, she agreed, preferring evening house sitting at my place. But she almost stopped letting me touch her, and soon it got to the point where she had a game of pushing me out of bed. Slowly, I began to doubt her again, whether she liked me or not. Maybe I was just the object of her fantasies, I don't know. But even after a few months, when I gave hints of intimacy, or an actual relationship, she limited me to just foreplay. My attitude towards her was gradually dropping, and she began to notice it. As soon as I dared to voice my displeasure, as she did, she burst into tears, to which I reacted with extreme confusion. I didn't think it would affect her so much, that she was so worried about our relationship and afraid of losing me. I did not forget to remind her that if she wasn't happy with something, she could always tell me about it, and I would always listen to her and help her if possible. But she didn't seem to have any complaints. As it turned out, a few months after we broke up, she didn't care about the crying, and it was just a test. Weird. Another month passed and our supervisor announced an exhibition of her paintings that was coming up in a few days. I took an interest and asked Olivia what she thought about it because she had never seen our head teacher's paintings and it was a good excuse to spend time with her doing what she loved. But she didn't share my optimism and said that her paintings are just not that interesting and we can spend our time doing something else. I had my doubts. I really wanted to see the exhibition, but I also really wanted to be with her. On the last day, I was still undecided and one of our mutual acquaintances asked me if I was going to the exhibition. To which I replied hesitantly, and I wanted to be there with my beautiful. But he was so surprised and said that Olivia is going there, for sure. I informed him about an hour ago myself. I was shattered. My heart was shaking and beating so hard, like I just hit a man with a car at high speed and then driven away without checking to see if it was alive. An emptiness had appeared inside me. After getting a little hurt and swearing at our little conversation with the dude, I started texting her and asking what the hell she was doing. She responded like nothing had happened, because I hadn't asked her if she wanted to go either. Once again, I was overwhelmed. Again, I felt empty and just turned my phone off for 24 hours, and when I turned it back on, there were messages from her apologizing. That was the final straw. We met in the evening, and I said apparently I don't want such a cold-blooded relationship with such a cold-blooded person anymore. She froze. All her manipulative plans had gone down the drain. She just stood there and chose strategy to further action to prevent me from leaving. After a couple of minutes, she came close to me and said, "I don't want to lose you. I really like you." My inner self tried to change my mind about dumping this girl but what the hell? I told her that I didn't want to lose her either. And then she smiled. I left with a feeling in my heart that nothing had changed, but now I would just let it go. A few days later, we met, had a lovely walk, but I noticed that she had stopped letting herself be kissed, making it look like a game, and when I walked her to the entryway about to leave, she decided to tell me something. Her behavior was letting me know that she wanted to end our relationship, but there was no way she could dare to say those words herself. So I did it by myself. "So, do you want to break up?" There was relief on her face, and she answered yes. I was relieved too, but also a little sad that I'd done it. I listened to her thoughts and arguments, which I can never once call reasoned, but there was no going back now. We hugged and she made me promise that I would remember her with a kind word, not vilify her for all her antics, and parted ways. You might have thought that was the end of it, but so until a month later when I bumped into our mutual friend and he told me everything. I found out that he said that she said that I was a wimp, and when I needed to dominate and insist, I acted like a wimp. That I always was bugging her about a relationship and texting her all the time, and it's about value, and that I basically just focused on her experience. And how did I know that while she was crying, she was faking it? How am I supposed to know that? She shook on purpose while she was crying to make it believable. I was shocked, but what shook me most that I secretly might have known all this and just chose to ignore it because I loved her. Don't worry, I didn't fall into a deep depression. Actually, on the contrary, it gave me strength and experience to be more careful and listen to what my heart is saying even more, and especially my brain. At the moment now, I have a really great girlfriend, and I've learned to understand when you're being used and when you're being loved. Be mindful and subscribe to the So It Happens channel and take care. All the best.